Is that the Chargers upset the Patriots.
I think they have a really good chance of upsetting the Patriots, even though I'm not picking the upset. Does that make sense? It is not what I believe is going to happen, but I see a lot of ways it can happen if it logically makes sense to the audience. They have some natural advantages that I'm going to say and then duck from Kevin Wildes because I think they matter and he does not. They have the more experienced head coach, and I think the more accomplished head coach. They have the more experienced quarterback, and as you could argue more accomplished or not, I guess that probably depends on if Drake May does win the MVP. I think May had the better season, and I think May is better than Herbert. But a lot of people think Justin Herbert's better than Drake May at this point in their careers. And so that at least is arguable. And I believe they have the thing that travels best in cold weather in the playoffs, which is the better defense. And that's not a knock on the Patriots defense, which I think has been solid but untested to a degree because of the quarterbacks they have faced. And the Chargers defense what has carried them to this point is, I would say, Justin Herbert's toughness and playmaking and the defense. Like, they have not been a prolific offense, and Herbert's numbers haven't been great, but the fact that he's been available and made some clutch plays. So all of those things, Brew, can absolutely lead to what would, for I think most people, not be a shocking upset. This is not what I would consider, if there is such a thing as a typical 2 versus 7, because there have only been 7 seeds for 5 years. These two teams are much closer in quality than I think your typical 2 versus 7 would be. So, yeah, I think they have a good chance.
Well, Wiles, look, you could have put something up there. I know that graphic wasn't really favorable for you. But 7 seeds, Nick, since they've been in the playoffs, are 1-9 in the playoffs.
It's just J-Lo against the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's it. And so the likelihood, but this is obviously a much closer 2-7 than we're used to. Yeah, I think, look, I'm going to say 40% chance. So that means I'm leaning Patriots, but not heavy. I think this is a really closely matched game. If the Chargers were healthy, I think I would be going for them. But they're not, and I think
healthy,
they
could.
Yeah, they wouldn't even be the 7th seed, right? Yeah. They wouldn't be the 7th seed. Now, without Joe Alt, and I know we kind of make fun, but they already lost Rashawn Slater. Then they lose their other good offensive tackle, but they beat Pittsburgh and Philadelphia without Joe Alt, and so I still think they're a tough team.
They ended the Chiefs' season. I understand the Chiefs ended up, Mahomes ended up being bad.
Still a good
but
win.
That was the game the Chiefs, the game where Patrick got hurt was the game they
knew they had a must-win.
Or the game before that. Yeah, I apologize because it was Houston. But yes, it was a must-win. No, that's right. It was a must-win for the Chiefs, and they ended the Chiefs' season.
So that's a big win to me, regardless of how the Chiefs finish the season. And they beat Dallas too, which can be viewed as a good win. So they're still a dangerous team. I agree. Harbaugh is a great coach. Obviously, last year in the playoffs didn't go well, but he's coached 9 playoff games. 2 of them been to 2 NFC championship games, a Super Bowl. So he's going to be ready, I would expect. Justin Herbert, you got a very talented quarterback. Everybody, whether they like Herbert or not, knows how talented he is. And he's got to have a chip on his shoulder because he's been bad in the playoffs, and he's having a very nice season, gotten a lot of respect. He already had it, but he's gotten even more respect for how he's maneuvered this team with the injuries. And he's got to want to finish that off with playing well in this game. And then they have a pretty good pass rush. It's not like best in the league or near the best, but it's pretty good. And Drake obviously has taken a lot of sacks, so I think that's something.
Oh, for the Chargers pass rush.
For the Chargers pass rush. Yeah. And with Drake taking so many sacks, that's a little something to worry about.
Not really, because Drake May is apparently just invincible with sacks. They seemingly just don't matter to him whatsoever. Again, I'm pretty sure it's Rail who talked about how taking sacks are just absolute drive killer. You know, they just crush drives that your chance of scoring a touchdown drops to 50%. I said this before, and I was like, I'm almost positive it's Mike Rabel. I gotta look it up. I have it. I'm pretty sure I have it bookmarked somewhere. But it doesn't matter for Drake May and the New England Patriots, so it's always kind of funny to me. I mean, listen, it's kind of funny, though, at the top how Nick was like, if this makes sense, and it was like, because he was he was having nuance. He was bringing nuance where he's like, yeah, I think the Chargers absolutely can upset them, but I don't think they will. He's like, if that makes sense to the audience. And it's like, well, it should. I mean, it's just conversation. We don't always have to have this extreme one-side take where it's like they're going to win the Super Bowl, they're going to get knocked out the first round, and there's just nothing else in between. And truthfully, that's where all these teams right now are. But for sure, the Chargers and the Patriots, you know, I got into a discussion with someone, a Patriots fan, and again, man, I was one of the first people to be pushing Drake May for MVP. So like, let's, you know, no one can question I'm the one that's been making all these videos saying that you can make the argument that you should take Drake May over any other quarterback in the NFL right now, if we're starting from today and counting Lamar's age, Mahomes' age, and injury and all that type of stuff. So, like, nobody can question my support of the New England Patriots and Drake May. But I said simply that what makes the Patriots great is that they're just really balanced, that they're not dominant on either side of the ball. And then someone in the comment section was like, well, they're ranked 7th on offense and defense. And I'm like, yeah, that proves my point. And they're like, that is dominant. And it's like, being ranked 7th is not dominant. That's not how it works. There's a better argument that the Texans have a dominant defense. Okay? Okay. And if the Texans have a dominant defense, then the Patriots simply do not. It's how it works. I don't know how other ways to explain it. And so when you're incredibly balanced like the Patriots are, you're relying on that balance rather than that singular aspect to bring it home for you. Right? If you knew that this Patriots defense was awesome and suffocating, truthfully, it wouldn't matter about Drake May because you would just be like, Justin Herbert won't be able to do anything against this defense. The O-line will be disrupt. His lack of O-line support will be so disruptive. You know, Bob Joe and Michael will just feast on Herbert all day. There you go. Game over, right? And you would feel so much more confident about that. But when you have a balanced team, you're just kind of like, yeah, I there. And again, being balanced doesn't mean that you're not great. Not being considered dominant doesn't mean that you're not great, that you're not awesome. But when you're relying on a team for being balanced and just being great, then it's one of those things where they kind of talk about this in baseball when you go through many relief pitchers throughout the course of a game, that you're relying on too many pitchers to bring their agony. You're relying on too many pitchers to all bring it in a singular game, and you're kind of, you just don't know how that's going to work. And so, yeah, for a team like the Patriots going into the playoffs right now, you're just like, yo, this defense is really, really good. This offense is really, really good. How good, how great, how awesome will it be in this moment? There's just no reliable way to know. And to be clear, that's not the version of, well, will Drake May, be able to handle the moment or this? It's like, that's not what I'm saying either. It's just, you've just been like this whole season, and which has been awesome. And that's why you are where you are right now. But in the playoffs, you're going to probably have many moments where you have to call on being elevated. And it's just like, what will that look like? What will that look like? We just don't know. We just don't know. So I don't even think that upset is even the right word. Obviously upset in the traditional sense, 2 versus 7, 3.5 spread, all that good stuff. But like, I just don't see it through that lens right now. I really don't. And yeah, I don't get too lost in the whole 27 and has this happened a lot, and the 1 seed going up against this seed and that. I mean, like, I throw that all out the window. I'm not even looking at this game remotely through the lens of like a 2 seed and a 7 seed. Like, that means nothing to me, really. It just means absolutely positively nothing to me, because why should it at this point? Why should it? So I think this game will be great, honestly, and I don't think either team runs away with it. And unless Justin Herbert does melt down and the O-line just can't even remotely give Justin Herbert a semblance of protection, and then it's just swallow up, great field position for the Patriots, and they're just able to just continue to rack up the points and never let them back in the game. But outside of the Chargers just truly falling like a house of cards, then I see this as a genuine back and forth, tight, close game. And then it will be who makes the plays. And the reality is that, you know, both quarterbacks have been making the plays this season. They both have been rising to the occasion. So it might be less about that and what other guys are able to rise to the occasion, right? Is it a Ladmaki? Is it a Diggs? I assume Diggs is playing, right? I know he's had the other stuff going on, but I don't think that's affecting this game if I'm correct. And I also think in this game too, a lot of it, as Nick kind of touched on it a little bit, it's not even about establishing the run because that's like kind of generic. Like who can establish the run? Like, yeah, you know. But a Sunday night playoff game, seemingly, you know, a lot at stake for both these teams. A lot on the shoulders of Drake May, his first ever playoff game at home. Like that's intense. Justin Herbert trying to get this playoff win. If you can have like a true run support where it's one of those games where you're having 30 some carries and it's like 180 yards, right? Like not just being able to get positive yards where, you know, when you establish a run where you hand the ball off and now it's 2nd and 7 and 3rd and 5, like that's obviously tremendously helpful too. But if either team can kind of break through in a way where you're just like, yeah, man, we're having a handful of chunk runs. Like we're able to just keep move where you're watching the game, and they're like, you know, why not keep handing the ball off? You know, keep handing the ball off until the other team proves that they can stop you. You're right, like one of those kind of generic sound bites that we can often hear. Like, if either of the teams can just do that, right? If they can break through in that way, it's just like, I think in a game like this, that just goes a mile. I mean, that just goes so far. Listen, it will go far in any playoff game, in any football game, in the history of football being played. But in a game like this, it's Sunday night. It's going to be cold. It's going to be, you know, who knows? I don't know what officially the weather will be, but it's New England Sunday night. You're playing at 9 now, 10 now at night, going into 11 o'clock at night. Like you can really take a massive weight off these quarterbacks' shoulders. They are going to be in a position then, I think, to really make some big time plays. There's just going to be so much more space for them to operate. And I just think that will go an incredibly long way for really both these quarterbacks. I just think that'll just put them in a position to just feel a lot more comfortable. And same thing from a coaching perspective as well, both coaches. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. But I mean, listen, even something like Drake May saying this, and I'll end here, where he says, you know, May on playoff mentality, don't change our process or preparation. The reality is he's saying that, and it's not based off of anything but what other people are telling him, rather than his actual felt experience. And that's part of this process as well, because he's never been here before. For all he knows, actually, he does want to change his process. For all, you know, Tom Brady's actually like, no, this is the playoffs. You got to change your process. Or it's one of those things where you're like, no, the process is the same, whether it's the Super Bowl or whether it's a preseason game. Like, you always get some of that generic coach speak as well, but sometimes it's like, no, the mentality is different. It's absolutely different. We could lie and say it's not, but it is. This is the playoffs. It's completely different. And it's different whether it's home or away. It's different whether it's the divisional round or the wild card round, the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game. Like, the reality is that he doesn't know. So I'm sure a coach is saying to him, hey, our process doesn't change. Everything is the same here. We're going to do what we've always done. And Drake May is just going like, yeah, exactly, yeah, because that's just what he's being fed right now. But that's not his felt experience because he hasn't experienced yet. So he doesn't really actually know. For all he knows, actually, he wants to prepare even more because for the playoffs, that will actually settle him down a little bit more. I don't know. You got to feel it out yourself. I'm sure there's some quarterbacks and teams, for that matter, and coaches that absolutely do way more for the playoffs than the regular season. And there's others that are like, Nope, I'm treating it exactly the same. That's what I need to do to go into this game to feel comfortable and confident and grounded. I don't treat this as anything different. Like I know like a Nick Foss, for instance, talks about this where he's like, there's no difference to me in the first quarter or the fourth quarter, whether we're up by 14 or down by 3. And it's like, that's not how every quarterback's going to want to operate, because situationally it is very different if you're up 14 or if you're down by 3. So it's just like, and I only heard Nick Foss say that on the more recent side. So that's why he read. I know Nick Foss is not like a go-to example of a quarterback, but it's just like, that's one that popped in my head, but like everyone's going to kind of have a different reference point and a different way of going about it. And I can just promise you that you're going to just get all different answers. And really the moral of the story is that Drake May doesn't have his answer yet because he hasn't done it. He hasn't experienced it. He doesn't know truly what he needs. He can compare it to moments that he had in high school and college and Pee-wee, like, you know, even in other sports or something. Like, yeah, he can compare it, but you have a playoff game in New England, okay? Like it's just a little different. You're playing Sunday night $8 playoffs at home for the New England Patriots in your first ever playoff game. There's not a lot that prepares you for that in life. There's just not. So he's at the mercy of his coaching staff for sure. He can't even necessarily even fully relay what he needs to the coaching staff in that moment either, because he just doesn't know, hasn't been there. So it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds as well, but those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the New England Patriots, Drake May, and the chances that they are upset by the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. This really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.